Hey, Nikki Brown here. No matter where you are, what part of the world you're in, I hope that you're having a good day. And thank you for watching. So, I am going to do my Kriya practice, which is purification. When you study to become a yogi, this is one of the things that they teach you. Is because normally you would use a plastic tongue scraper. You can buy them pretty much at any drugstore, CVS, Walgreens. So for years I have been using plastic tongue scrapers or my toothbrush. Even some toothbrushes have these grooves on the back, and some people use those to scrape their tongue as well. But again, one of the Kriyas, Kriyas, one of the 6 purification practices that you learn when you become a yogi is to use copper. Well, it doesn't have to be copper, but it shouldn't be plastic. There are other metals, but I felt like copper was the best one for me. And so I did purchase this off of Amazon. Actually, have had them for about 2-3 weeks, so this video is a little overdue. I've been still using my plastic one. I've been really busy, so I'm now have some time, and I'm gonna open this, and we're gonna go ahead I thought it was a Ziploc, but I had to use scissors to open it. So what we want to do is start by cleaning it, or that's what I'm going to do. And you just want to apply some light pressure because it is metal, and you know the tongue is very sensitive, so just be gentle. So this is what it looks like. I also have a neti pot. That's also one of the 6 Kriyas to clean your nasal passage. So again, you want to start at the back of your tongue. So I'm just going to take my tongue out and go from back to front. And then you want to clean it off. Those are toxins and bacteria that form in the mouth. If you're a little squeamish, I apologize. You might not want to watch this. It's not the most flattering thing in the world to do, but you know, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking about, like, you know, a lot of times people say, well, I would never do this and I would never do that, and then they end up doing it anyway. Or they may have an idea and then they'll have someone, and you want to do this about 3-4 times, so I'm going to do it like 2 more times. But it could also be that you'll have someone who advises you not to do something, right? Like somebody say, oh, I don't think you should use your tongue scraper because whatever. And then the next thing you know, they've gone on Amazon and they bought a ton scraper too, right? And then they're doing a video. That could be for multiple reasons. Okay, so I did that about 4 times. I'm going to rinse. I have a different Ziploc baggie. I'm going to put this one in, and I'll leave those other ones. But you never know, like sometimes people are hating on you, right? Or they think you have a good idea and they want to make it seem as if they came up with the idea. So they want to make it seem like they did it first, so that it appears that they thought of the idea. So they may say, oh, I don't think you should do that. And then they turn around and do it. And again, looks like they did it first, right? Or they could genuinely feel like maybe that's not a good idea. And then they think about it. But instead of sharing with you, oh, well, I now think it's a good idea, they just turn around and do it. And sometimes that's people's way of letting you know. Because sometimes they're looking for recognition or your approval. And they don't know how to communicate and say, oh, well, I thought about what you said and now I think it's a good idea, so I decided to do it. They just kind of copy what you said. And so it could be a copycat situation. Like I call it the single white female syndrome. If you've ever seen that movie, Single White Female. Whether it's male or female. And nationality or race doesn't matter. It's just the premise of the movie. But sometimes, again, people see that you have a good idea and they want to steal it. Sometimes they think about it and change their mind. But you never really know what perspective someone's coming from unless you know this person. Like just say, for example, an unknown artist may meet a famous artist, and that unknown person may share a song or a lyric or something, and then the next thing you know, this song is making this celebrity millions of dollars because people know this celebrity and they don't know the unknown artist, and they get away with it. It could be a YouTube influencer who has a friend, let's say, and the person comes up with a good idea, and the friend says, oh, I don't think you should do that. I don't think that would work. And the next thing you know, this friend is creating their same content idea on their own YouTube channel, again, to make it seem as if they came up with the idea. Then again, you have people who, when you first tell them that, they're a little skeptical. Then they have some time to think about it, or they may have seen someone else who did it, and they may or may not share with you, oh, I now think this is a good idea, so I'm going to do it too. So, you never know what's going on unless you really know this person, and or unless you've had a conversation with them. Not everyone has malicious or ill intent, but some people do. Again, some people want to copy. Some people want to sabotage. But this is kind of, for me, you can tell if somebody really likes you. If someone genuinely is there for you, or if someone is there because they want to benefit off of you. I had an ex, and he used to say, if you can't be used, then you are useless. And this person was a Virgo, and so I understand the premise of that coming from a Virgo, but at the same time, using people is not what we should be doing. Manipulating people is not what we should be doing. And there are some people who are of that school of thought that you have to manipulate people. And I don't think that you have to manipulate people. I think that you can be honest with people. I think that you can share your thoughts, But I understand for those who aren't comfortable communicating their honest thoughts or opinions, they feel as if maybe manipulation is the better way. Whereas some people are of the school of thought that honesty is the best policy, right? Um, but then you have those people who may think that an honest person is a pushover, or an honest person is going to be taken advantage of, or an honest person is too nice or too kind or weak, when it may not mean that at all, because it takes a lot of strength actually to be honest, to communicate what you're actually thinking and how you're actually feeling, if you even know what you're actually thinking or how you're actually feeling, because some people don't. There was not a YouTuber, Facebook post, and the woman asked the question, if my friend, she was just being ratchet with me, but then when she gets around her husband, she I guess speaks grammatically correct English, and she becomes, more, she practices better etiquette, we'll say it that way. And the young lady's like, well, I don't know what that means, and I want to say something to her. And a few of us said basically it could just simply mean that she is respectful around men. And she was like, oh no, you just had to see her. I don't know, sometimes we look into things that aren't really there, and we make assumptions, and sometimes they are really there. But the only way sometimes to find out is to communicate, ask questions. Now, someone can be dishonest about it, but you do need to continue to pay attention. But if she's made to feel uncomfortable by her friend, then she shouldn't have her friend around her husband. But at the same time, again, the conversation that I have with my girlfriend, I may not have with my man, right? Like, these are two different people. I may have a similar conversation with my man. I may word it differently, but some women do behave, were raised this way, okay, to be different, to have manners and be more ladylike in front of a man, whether it's someone's husband or not. That doesn't mean that she wants her husband. It could mean that, but not necessarily. And it's not good to just make that assumption. But to each his or her own. That's their relationship, and I'm going to leave that alone because that's not really what I came to talk about. But I just use that as an example, and not that it's really related, but at the same time, you never know whether or not it's intentional or unintentional, again, unless you communicate. And again, sometimes people can be dishonest, especially if they're doing something deceptive or manipulative. But sometimes people will simply tell you, oh, again, it could be something as simple as, I was raised to be mannerable in front of men. It could be that simple. Anyway, if somebody does something that they said they weren't going to do, or no, let me reword that. If someone does something that they talked you out of doing, don't take it personal. See it as a lesson learned, and know and understand that you can't share everything with everybody. A lot of the ideas that you come up with, you probably need to keep them to yourself. Get a journal. Write down those ideas. Keep it in a place where no one else can see it, or keep it on you all the time. You don't have to tell everybody everything. You don't need other people's opinions. If you came up with the idea is for you. Just manifest it and bring it into fruition. Yes, it's good if you have help, but sometimes, we don't need other people's help. A lot of times when we think we need help, we really don't, because we have everything that we need in order to make it become a reality. It's up to us. It depends on the effort that we put forth. That a lot of times determines whether or not it's going to happen. Now, depending on the mindset, it may happen right away. It may not happen right away, right? It could take hours, weeks, months, even years, even 10 years, even 20 years, depending on what it is that you're wanting to do. But it's a matter of being consistent and continuing to go at it until it manifests and shows up in your life. And then you tell people, or you let people see, oh, this is what I've done. But it's not good to tell them beforehand, because they may try to copy and talk you out of it so that they can steal your idea and do it before you do. And that happens, whether it's someone who's known or unknown. So, just be a little bit more discreet and private. And again, if you need to get it off your mind, write it down. You'll know what ideas to come up with, and whether or not it's a good idea or not so good idea, as you create a strategy to manifest this into reality. No matter what it is, if it's something artistic, if it's something, if you want to come up with a trademark, a patent, copyright, a book idea, a book title for a business, whatever it is, a song, a poem, whatever it is, sometimes you have to keep it to yourself until you actually make it happen, and then allow people to see the finished product, as opposed to the steps that it takes to get there. Don't give them an opportunity to talk you out of it just so that they can steal your idea. Or don't give them an opportunity to talk you out of it because their fear will prevent them from doing the same. A lot of people won't move forward because they have some type of fears. Could be a fear of rejection, right? Could be a fear of failure, right? Some people have the lack mindset, so they want to just stay safe. So in staying safe, then, I'm just going to do what everybody else does because it's safe. And I'm not going to think outside the box or do anything outside the box. And I don't think that you should either. There was a young lady I coached, and she's a musician. And her dad was a musician, and he, worked a regular job. And then I think, the music was just kind of a hobby for him. Something like that. But she wants to pursue a career in her musical talent. And, basically her parents were projecting that onto her. Like, okay, you just need to do something that's safe. She's not a do something that's safe type of person, though. She's, way outside the box. But they don't feel comfortable with her being outside the box. So they've tried to talk her out of, not in a mean way, but just kind of encouraging her, again, to stay on that safe path, right? Don't do anything outside the box. I didn't do that, so you shouldn't do that either. Kind of along those lines. But, as her coach, I encouraged her to continue to pursue what she wants to do and not stay in that box that was, placed around her. Go outside the box, and willfully everything will work out the way that you want. Um, and, you know, if it doesn't work out the way you want, it's not necessarily the end of the world. You could even try to do it different. You know, it doesn't always. I had another client, and the client said, well, I grew up doing this. And I said, well, maybe you can still do that in a different capacity. I don't want to give too many details because I want to protect the privacy. Although I used the music as an example. Well, it was an actual scenario, but I think if I shared what I'm sharing now, this would be too specific because a lot of people are into music or want to be, you know, in the entertainment industry, especially in Atlanta. So that may not be as obvious. But again, with one of my other clients, it was like, you can still do that. So maybe you're not doing it on this level, but you can do it on this level. Or you can do it over here, right? Instead of doing it with other adults, maybe you can do it with children. And I know that sounds weird. Let's just say, for example, cooking, right? Instead of going to the best culinary arts school in the country, maybe you can become a high school home economics teacher and teach children. So that's what I kind of meant when I said what I said. Just doing it in a different way, but still holding on to that same goal. You know, again, just because you didn't become the multimillionaire celebrity does not mean you can't still pursue your craft. But again, you may just have to keep those details to yourself until you actually make it come true, because there are going to be people who don't want you to do that. They want to hate on you. They want you to sit next to them in the same cubicle and have the same normal life that they have because they were too afraid to go outside the box. So they're going to talk you out of it. Not everybody, not all the time, but a lot of times this is what's going to happen. So you have to keep it to yourself and not share. Again, get a journal and write down what you want to do. Create a strategy and just take baby steps towards it. So again, like say again, culinary art school, we'll use that as an example. Okay, you're depending on your age, your first step may be, I'm going to finish high school, right? Or I'm going to take home economics class at my school, or I'm going to go to a community college or a trade school and I'm going to take some cooking classes. I'm going to go to take a cooking certification class at my community college over the weekend. Then I'm going to enroll in a community college or a 4-year college. Well, I don't think there are any 4-year colleges that specialize in culinary arts. Although I could be wrong. I think they're all community colleges and trade schools, or like Cordon Bleu, which is like just a restaurant school. So that you're going to learn how to cook French cuisine. I think cooking and baking. But anyway, again, write out whatever, steps you could take and write some alternatives. Do some research alternatives. Okay, you may not be able to go to Cordon Bleu, but again, you may be able to go to another reputable restaurant school in the country. You may want to learn vegan cooking. May want to learn more baking than cooking. Whatever your niche is. explore that, do your research, see other people who are doing it, and what institutions they went to, and what career they end up having after. Where did they end up working after? Did they open a restaurant, or did they work for one of the top restaurants in their city? But you don't have to share. And I know that sometimes we want to talk about things, but sometimes you never know if somebody's hating on you, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, because it's not always intentional. Again, people's fear causes them, their natural instinct is to say, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should just stay safe and sit in this cubicle. Right? Because they're not going to do anything outside the box. And they don't want you to. And, not for nothing, that's kind of how I feel like this Shanquilla Robinson situation. They're all going to Winston-Salem State. She decides to go outside the box. And they didn't like it. So they wanted to embarrass her. And I think that embarrassment, or that Instagram embarrassment video went wrong. And they cut the video off, but it was already live. So it was already too late. And they couldn't go back. So that's all I have to say. So if you share something with someone and they talk you out of it, don't necessarily take their word for it. Think about it for yourself. Does this person truly have my best interest at heart? Are they operating from their own mental place of fear or insecurity? Or are they hating on me on the low? On the low. And just pay attention. The answer may come to you right away. It may take a little while. Because sometimes, especially if it's a relative who's supposed to love you, again, they may not want you to do that thing. That's why I mentioned the young lady, with the music. It's not that her parents don't love her. They love her. But they just would rather she stay safe and not pursue an unconventional career path that has uncertainty. And then sometimes, and I'm not talking about her parents in particular, sometimes people don't want you to do better than them, especially if they attempted to do a thing and it didn't work out for them. And it's like, how dare you try to do this thing? You're not better than me. Because it didn't work out for them. Again, whether this is conscious or subconscious, because sometimes it's not always conscious. Sometimes in their subconscious mind, these thoughts come up. So, as always, I love y'all and I thank you for watching. And until next time,